Well, good evening, everyone. This is November 28th, 2023, and this is Dr. Ellithorpe with Tustin Longevity Center here in Southern California, and we do our once a week, 6 p.m. Ask the Doctor Anything. We are a group of about 8 healthcare professionals, medical doctors, naturopathic doctors, physician assistants, and we have here a assembly for trying to look at preventive first functional medicine management before trying to get involved with standard medications and things like that. So we're trying to use as natural as possible means first, lifestyle, diet, um, and help you to modify your health before requiring medications. If you're on medications or have a medical problem, then we try and help you to develop a protocol to protect yourself and recover from that. So with that, we take questions through the email, and I have several questions for tonight. Our tlcdoctors.com is our website, and on that you can sign up for being on our email. Give us your email, and we can then send you notification when these Ask the Doctor videos come out, and in it will be a link, and you can hit on that link and then type in your question. That'll go directly to go into these questions that we get every week. Then you also have the chat here, live chat. If you're on YouTube, you can type in your question there. We will answer the questions first in the live chat for those who are actually live with us, so we can get to their questions. And then we'll go to the emails. This is not intended to be treatment or personal medical advice. These are generalized responses that you can get, so you have access to a healthcare professional. I've been practicing 42 years plus, and what we're trying to do is let you into our thought process, our background, how we would approach these things in the general sense of the word. And if you are a patient here, please, if you have a medical issue, call the office at 714-544-1521 and leave a message for your doctor to call you back and contact you. Of course, if it's acute, you'll have to use urgent care. But in general, we are just giving generalized responses, and this is not meant for personal health care management. So let's begin. We're starting to get in questions here on the live chat. I hope everyone had a lovely Thanksgiving and enjoyed their meal and their treats and all. I had a lovely Thanksgiving. I actually didn't cook this year. I was able to get away with having a Thanksgiving without doing all the cooking. And we enjoyed the time putting up our decoration and our house lights and our nativity scene and all those wonderful fun little things, and some much needed garage clean out, and it's kind of like an annual thing we do. But I hope you all had a safe and wonderful Thanksgiving as well, and we'll continue to have a safe holiday as well. Now let's see, the first live question is from Tiziana. Hi, Tiziana. And you're saying, hi, Dr. E. Together with Dr. Tucker in Orange. Dr. Tucker is a cardiologist. Convinced my husband to get off statins. Very good. His total cholesterol is 359. His LDL is 263. His triglycerides were 141, HDL 67. Should he go back on statin right the way? Well, again, Tiziana, I'm not going to give you personal advice for your husband, but in general, a healthy man who has never had a heart attack, who has these readings, the only concerning number there are the triglycerides at 141. Your triglycerides should never be higher than the HDL, and his HDL was 67 his triglycerides were 141. So he has double the amount of his HDL. Since triglycerides only come from eating starch and carbohydrates and sugars and fruit sugars, nuts, seeds, rice, beans, pasta, crackers, bagels, cereal, all these things, plus, sugary treats, cakes, and ice cream. So when you take in this much energy in the form of these carbohydrates and you're not burning it up immediately, then what happens is the body will take those sugars and start converting them into triglycerides, which is the simplest form of a fat. This floats in your blood and is intended, hopefully, that you would burn it off. If you don't burn it off, it starts to accumulate and get bigger, and your liver can start getting fatty liver. Then it can start to be associated with, along with the high starch carbohydrate, towards diabetes. So he has to learn to take personal control of himself and cut down these starchy fruit sugar carbohydrates. And he may not think that he doesn't have to because he exercises, but that's the fallacy of aging. All of us with age become diabetics or move toward diabetes. And the reason is our muscle mass starts to shrink and go away 1% every year after the age 40 for sure. So by the time you're 60, you can possibly lose 20% of your muscle mass. And your muscle mass is the engine, part of the engine that is helping to use up the energy that comes with the carbohydrate, starch, and fruit sugars. And we tend to eat the same habit of eating these things, even though we're aging and losing our engine to burn them. Therefore, you start building up the sugars and move toward diabetes and hypertriglyceridemia and all the other related chronic metabolic diseases, metabolic syndrome, high blood pressure, cancers, diabetes, strokes, all those kind of things. So the only area of concern would be the triglycerides. He should do some serious reduction in the volume of the fruits, vegetable, nuts, seeds, and stuff, and increase the amount of fish and chicken and beef and pork and eggs and so forth that he will eat, and embrace some fasting times to eat in a window of time, maybe between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m., a 6-hour window, and to not eat late ever, and to maybe incorporate a 24-hour fast once a week. So he would go from dinner the late afternoon of one day, not eat until dinner the late afternoon of the following day. These are the things that I would do to lower my triglyceride and get it to be equal to the HDL or lower than the HDL. And that's where the magic happens. So that's my suggestion. Okay, so Tiziana went on to say he's been eating pretty clean, but not perfect. Would a better diet help? Most definitely. So hopefully that gives you some good advice there, Tiziana. Let's see. Jenna says, my husband is 68 and is healthy, and his PSA is 4.8. It was 4.1 at the first of the year. He has been taking Prostasol Forte 1 a day for the past year or so. Should he take 2 per day to help lower it? Yeah, that has the items in it that are associated with reducing the alpha reductase and conversion of testosterone into estradiol. Estradiol builds up. Testosterone can convert to estradiol in a man, especially if he drinks alcohol and he's on a high carb diet. So then guys who drink a lot of beer and alcohol and eat pizza and tortilla chips and Cheetos, they get these beer bellies and the pappy breasts. And that's all from, of course, the sugar and starches, but it's also the estrogen effect from their diet, and their testosterone drops off and so forth. So I would certainly have him really reduce his starch and carbs. We're in a country that is marketing to you to be a repeat eater have habitual patterns, have triggers in the marketing and psychology of getting you to eat things the way they want to sell it. And they market the food genetically modified with glyphosates and BT toxins. And then they have the clouds, chemtrails, and the heavy metal nanoparticulate toxic metals. And we don't drink enough water. We drink entertaining drinks. We are marketed to be consumers, so that everything that touches our mouth has to be an entertainment and tantalizing. And this is killing us all. So you have to embrace self-control. You have to incorporate exercise, fastings, time-restricted eating, lower the carbs, because we are in an absolute carbohydrate sea of eating. And they market it through, especially this time of the year. And all I do for March, January through March, is trying to fix all the damage of all this marketing and eating. Enjoy water. Then Constance says, Merry Christmas, Dr. E. Merry Christmas to you, Constance. Since I stopped eating all dairy, my urine calcium was lower. What do you think of calcium citrate supplements? Well, I would say you'll get all the needed calcium usually in a healthy diet where you're getting fish and meat and chicken and eggs and pork. And that should be a fantastic source of dietary amino acid chelated supply of calcium. I don't like extraneous sources of calcium unless there's some extreme condition with it, medical condition. You should be able to get this from your diet. If you're older or a blood type A, A's don't digest meats, fish, chicken, beef, eggs as well. So they need the digestive enzyme to help extract all this out of their protein and helps them with the fatty digestion as well. But definitely, I tend to avoid calcium supplements. So unless you have some unique medical condition, they're very rare. I don't think it's necessary at all for your bones or anything to use it. I've been practicing 42 years. I have never prescribed calcium supplementation. And yet I have probably the highest amount of women who are in their 80s and 70s and 60s with the best to normal bone density. So I'm not a supporter of calcium supplementation. Constant also says, you also have you ever used potassium citrate to help dissolve kidney stones? All tests are normal. No. They don't know the exact cause of kidney stones. Usually they're calcium oxalate, the majority of them. And water is probably the best thing you need. There isn't a miracle stone dissolver. It is instead usually chronic dehydration and the metabolic syndrome from this high carb eating, and sugar is acidic. Diabetes are acidic. So that would be my better choice there. I don't think we need to find a element to chase after any one particular item. For instance, vitamin D is almost universally deficient in the vast majority. I would say 85% at least of all Americans. So yes, that probably should be taken. Number two, the number one mineral usually low in America by the vast, 90%, 80% is magnesium. Zinc, we're finding, is typically low. And if you would eat enough meat, fish, chicken, and eggs and things like that, you would probably resolve the magnesium and the zinc deficiency. So we're not eating enough healthy, natural proteins. We're not drinking enough water. We're gumming it up with all the sugary carbs right on their marketing propaganda ploy to get you to be a repeat eater. Jenna Siebert goes on and says, part 2, my husband does not drink, but he does eat too many sweets. He is a baseball coach and is very active, but needs to tame his sweet tooth for sure. We both need to lower our triglycerides. Absolutely, Jenna. We're living in a lie. Um, I'm just going to say the example I give my patients in my office visits. It's like people will come to me and they say, "But I'm busy and I'm doing work and I'm coaching and I'm a construction worker and I'm working hard building and I'm using my muscles every day. I can work this off, or I do competitive sports and I can burn it off." But the sad reality is, really, the vast majority of us are eating too many carbs. And I liken it to, um, let's say someone's addicted to going out, they're married and committing adultery and seeing prostitutes for hire. And they know it's wrong and they stop it and they quit seeing the prostitutes and they fix up their marriage, everything's better. But then when they are asked how did they solve their problem, they say, well, I switched to just watching porn. So it isn't really solving the problem in the true sense. So just because you add an exercise doesn't mean you're going to catch up with your triglycerides. So we need to clean that bad stuff out of our life and get these silly treats that are marketed to us and put them back into the lock and key of true celebration moments, and stop using this hole as an entertainment hole and look at grocery stores as pornography stores for the mouth. Grocery stores are pornography stores for the mouth, because I have to look hard at grocery stores today to find food instead of packaged processed foods and so forth. So please see how serious this is. It is linked with your cancer. It's linked with your cardiovascular diseases. It's linked with the diabetes. It's linked with neurodegenerative diseases. It's linked with musculoskeletal damage. All these carbohydrate and fruit sugars, fruit sugars, juicing, all this kind of stuff. Our bodies were never meant to have that high hit of calorically high calories like that. Eileen says, is fasting before a reversal surgery for a stoma safe, like 10 days or more? The person who does a prolonged fast has to be trained or seasoned in it or well understood and known by their doctor. I've done a 5 to 7 day fast, just water. But pretty much beyond that, unless we know the person and they've trained themselves to be able to do that, that gets to be pretty dangerous. So I would speak to fasting as a healthy intervention for healthy lifestyles and longevity, but as a single entity, just for this reversing the stoma, I'm going to say you'll probably do just as well if you live the low carbohydrate lifestyle, do intermittent fasting, never eat late, exercise, drink plenty of water, take vitamin D and magnesium for sure, and go on a 3-day water fast and prior to surgery. And if you're familiar with how to fast, that should be quite adequate. Most surgeons don't want you to fast that long. They'll typically say 12-hour fast before a surgery. I often tell all my patients 24 hours is what I recommend. So unless I knew you personally, I would say don't do anything drastic if you're not familiar with prolonged fasting. And I think a 3-day fast is just fine and very promotional of growth repair. See, when you fast, you're stimulating remodeling, healing, growth hormone, so that there's less inflammation and there's better adhesion and repair when you fast. So even after the surgery, eating a diet that maybe a day after the fast, just like chicken broth, with water to get your electrolytes. You might use an electrolyte. I put salt. I take my sea salt here, and I put it in my water, a dash. So when I'm on a fast, I take my vitamins while I do it, so I keep my minerals up. So you need to see your doctor, and you need to discuss this, Ilya, for your particular needs, because whatever caused you to have the stoma in the first place may have created some scenario in your life where you're already depleted. So please seek medical advice. Okay, Jenna says, I use monk fruit and stevia to sweeten my coffee and tea. Are those natural sugar substitutes okay to use in moderation? Thanks, Dr. E. May God bless you, John and family. Yes, thank you for the blessing, Jenna. Again, see, you're trying to preserve the sweet taste. Can you learn to just enjoy coffee as black? Again, can we get away? We get away from being with a prostitute, but then we go to just paper pornography, images. You're still satisfying, so to say, quote unquote, an itch. So I'm not against monk fruit or stevia or xylitol. But I'm saying, why do you need the sweetness? You've been trained to need that sweetness. We can literally actually get ourselves off of these hooks and have a healthier life. Let's see, Dolores says, hi, Dr. Rita, any suggestions? What can I take after colonoscopy regarding the anesthesia and the PLENVU power I have to drink before the procedure? God bless you. That must be the purging stuff they're giving it, or that might, I don't know what PLENVU stands for. In general, we like people to do the vitamin C with EDTA chelation to offset the downtime and the anesthesia and for surgery. Colonoscopy is usually brief, and usually you're just put into a light sleep, and it isn't very powerful, so that's not as critical as major surgery where you can be hours under, and definitely they give you antibiotics and stuff like that. So, but in general, an immune drip and or a chelation with vitamin C, we call it enhanced chelation, is what we would do. Now let's go to some of these emails here. John says, any concerns for taking mannitol to ease Parkinson's symptoms? That has been coming up in the research of recent. Mannitol is a sugar alcohol, and it is really not absorbed, and it doesn't create a glucose spike like other sugars do. And what happens then is they found that taking up to, I think it's like 15, 18 grams of mannitol a day is associated with decreasing some of the Parkinsonian plaque between the neurons that creates some of this interference with the motor activities in the Parkinson's patient. So I don't think mannitol's been around for so long. And since it has been found to help dissolve some of these protein, I forget the name of them, I can't think of the name, but there is a special name for the protein neurotransmitter where these Lewy bodies and things like this are stuck in. And if mannitol helps dissolve it, it seems to be something else to help with Parkinson, for which there is no known cure. Now, of course, we would recommend improved microcirculation with EDTA chelation and the vitamin C, systemic enzymes, exercise, a very low-carb diet so the capillaries don't get sticky and all gummed up, plenty of water, and those kind of things as well. But I don't think there's any concerns, John. Daniel says, how can I start a fast for the first time? Well, Danielle, in general, if you're healthy, we usually have people start with intermittent fasting where we put them on a time restriction of eating. So we'll say start learning to skip breakfasts all the time, or conversely, have breakfast and lunch, but skip your dinners all the time. And then if you can get away without eating for 16 hours, and you're allowing an 8-hour eating window, then you try and narrow that window down to a 6-hour eating window. And then you can try and narrow it down to a 20-hour window. And you could then go from dinner on one day to dinner the next day. And that's how you start to train your body to be much more sensitive to the amount of carbohydrates, and your machinery for burning fats becomes upregulated so that you can handle a long distance of time without eating up to many, many days, and train your body to do that for health, for weight loss, for mental clarity, to detox, many wonderful things. But that's how I would start. Pamela, what do you think of a holistic dentist requirement for all new patients to get a CT CAT scan in his office? My husband has sensitivity in one tooth, no root canals, but isn't happy with the dentist he has been going to for many years because of rough cleanings and a new hygienist, questionable advice. And I just noticed fluoride treatment on his past bills. So the dentist has been giving fluoride treatment through the hygienist. Okay, well, they do, in fact, I would say at least for 10 or 12 years, dentists have been doing a in-office CT scan. It's a device that kind of goes around the head. It's like a halo, and the radiation comes in here, and the receptor site is here. You put your head on a chin, and then you bite onto a tab to hold yourself still. And then this thing will do a scan like that. It'll scan and take the pictures. Now, why do they want that? Well, they get much better bony and teeth imaging. They will be able to pick up cavitations, pockets that shouldn't be there. They get better measurements on CAT scans. Now, the radiation exposure with the CT CAT in the dental office, even if you put a lead collar to protect your thyroid, and you can put on lead glasses to protect your eye and stuff like that. Some even put on a lead cap. These, I would say, sieverts, millisieverts are given. I don't know the number, but I know it's anywhere from 10 to 100 times more radiation exposure than your standard two-dimensional X-rays. So yeah, you're getting exponential more radiation. But depending on the situation, if you have, infected bones from old root canals, and it's you're getting a necrotic hole in your bone of your jaw and mandible or maxilla up here, then that's probably something that needs to be done. So that's what I would say about that. Marianne says, my husband and I are considering hormone replacement therapy. We both have issues with our thyroid. We live in Oregon and discovered that there is a place nearby that provides bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. What sort of questions and concerns should we have when searching for a provider treatment? Well, how many years have they been doing it? And there was a time when I just started too, and people used me, and so everyone starts somewhere. But the more time, I feel the more comfortable. The other thing is, I would not use pellets. I don't like pellets implanted in the skin that seep out hormones over a long, like a 3-month period of time. that is foreign to the body's natural way of receiving things. The inert matrix is not so inert. What if your body rejects it? What if the dosing isn't good enough? What if it's too high? Once you put a implant in, you're stuck with that thing. So don't take any pellets. In my experience over many decades, I've never seen pellets to work well. Now it makes a lot of money. It looks fancy dancy, and you gown up and you sterilize the area and you have the lights on, and then you take the big needle and numb it up, and then you cut and put your little insertion in there and so forth. But it makes money for the doctor, and there are too many side effects in my opinion. So how long have they been doing it? Don't use pellets. I think the topical creams are probably the first and best way to start natural hormone therapy. We have the testosterone as a cream, and we have the estradiol for the girls as a cream, and the progesterone as a cream. So this is my stuff right here. We also have the testosterone and progesterone for men. And this way you can dial on the bottom and it clicks a little squirt on the top. And then you take it, and I like to rub it right over the blood vessels right here, or put it on my face so I don't get as many wrinkles with aging. Estradiol helps with elastin collagen and to keep the skin taut and healthy over time. So that's manageable. You can use more clicks, less clicks. You can use them any time of the day, twice a day, evenings only. I mean, there's so much personalization you can do with topical creams. And if they balk at that, it means, they want to just write a script and give you a patch or some commercial product. And these commercial products have other inert ingredients I don't like. I just like basic Eucerin cream, very, very simple. And I've really had no topical allergies 23 years here now. So that's what I would ask, Marianne. Jenna says, hi, I'm Dr. Rita. I'm 56 years old with an AB positive blood type. What are some ways I can reduce my triglyceride level? It is currently 126. Yeah, that's too high. Total cholesterol 204, HDL is 56. So you want to get your triglycerides to be equal to your high density lipoprotein 56. So you're double that. So you need to start fasting, exercising more. Don't ever eat late at night. Look at fruit and juicing and too many nuts and seeds. And good food becomes bad food when you eat too much food. The older you are, even if you take on exercise, weightlifting, running, you really can't outrun what you put in your mouth for the most part. We're losing our muscle mass, and the engine capacity to burn it off is diminishing. So you have to face the self-discipline, fasting, exercise, time-restricted eating, lots of water, that kind of stuff. You also take 4 TLC metabolic capsules per day, and you've done that a year and a half. Yes, TLC metabolic formula assists in the processing to burn up these sugars, but you can eat any vitamin supplementation. You can eat any exercise program you've designed to lower your blood sugar with, and triglyceride levels, and insulin you want to bring down too. So again, I want your triglycerides to be equal or lower than your high density HDLs. Roughly that's around 50. I want your insulin to be at least 4 or less on a fasting basis. I want your fasting blood sugar to be 85 or less. And I want your hemoglobin A1C to be 5.2 or less. Rhonda says, hello, Dr. Ellithorpe. My husband has recently received blood work results indicating high red blood cell count. Additional testing, including an ultrasound, was found that he had non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. which shows early stages of cirrhosis. What supplements and treatment plan would you recommend? Thank you so much. Well, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is implying that the doctor has screened him for alcohol consumption, so he's not getting scarring of the liver by abusing it with the toxin alcohol, which is inflaming and damaging and creates scarring over time. So that's good. But a high carbohydrate, fruit, sugar diet does just the same. So he has to do what you've just heard me say on the program here. He has to start doing intermittent fasting, not eating late, exercise, be on an extremely low carb diet, or move to carnivore to completely turn this around for 3 months, and learn to train himself to get disengaged from the propaganda, social pressures, to eat these damning foods that are processed, full of high fructose corn syrup that is so addicting. So drink more water, take systemic enzymes on an empty stomach twice a day to kind of soften the scarring and fibrotic and be an anti-inflammatory, and get his insulin, triglyceride, fasting blood sugar, and his hemoglobin A1C in those ranges I just listed. And if he has a high red blood cell count, my question would be, is he on testosterone replacement hormone therapy? Because men, if they use too much testosterone, they can stimulate the production in their bone marrow of too many red blood cells. And you would want to have that checked out. That's why if I prescribe testosterone, I demand that the patient sees me every 6 months with a complete blood count so I can track for that. But that's what I would do there. Don says, will you share general recommendation for a response to head trauma during teen sports? I'm guessing increase your systemic enzymes to 3 times a day, high dose vitamin C IV therapy, lots of water, hydration, anything else with the low carb diet, because eating meat, fish, chicken, turkey, eggs, butter is the cholesterol that repairs the micro damage in a head concussive trauma. To repair it, you have to have the protein, cholesterol, and fats to do that with. And so a low carb diet and a diet rich in proteins, eggs, cholesterol, and butter would be very, very supportive, along with the enzymes. And then, of course, protecting yourself, your child from re-injury. The re-injury can be more damaging. Too often, concussions are allowed to go back into play too soon. And so what is the ideal time? Everyone argues over that. I think you should be off of sports, at least a week, and be observed for headaches, nausea, vomiting, vision complaints, irritability, forgetfulness, mood drops, depressive. These things are typical in post-concussive syndromes. And if that is happening, there are those that say if you get a concussion 3 times, you're out for that sport for the season. So these are some of the recommendations I would give, but to get the information, see your doctor and have the child evaluated for that. Christine says, my friend has a 5-year-old twin with a brain tumor. A 5-year-old twin. Do you recommend him to be on a low-carb diet? Well, yes, I do. And remember, babies are on a low-carb diet for a year and a half if they're breastfed, if they're on mother's milk. Yeah, there's some lactose in the milk products, but basically a protein and high-fat diet is what all children are on that are breastfed, for months or a year and a half. Yeah, so I would go on a high protein, fat diet, very low carb, very, very low carb. Now, just interestingly, bring it up to her, ask the oncologist, pediatrician, about fenbendazole. Fenbendazole, Fenbendazole, and mebendazole, Mebendazole. These have been shown they're antiparasitic, like ivermectin, as well as ivermectin. These are antiparasitic medications that have been found to be associated with some tremendous tumor reduction and inhibition of metastasis and growth of brain tumors, and the worst of which is glioblastoma multiforme, and it has worked on those. So do some research on that, discuss with your oncologist and pediatrician, and yes, definitely beyond that, make sure the child has good vitamin D levels, at least 60 to 80 micrograms per deciliter, and is on a low-carb diet. Then Katharina says, does TLC offer homeopathic remedies as a means for treating diseases and injuries? I've been using it with great success for my seasonal allergies, and arnica cream works wonders for me when I fell twice last year, and it prevented bruising. I'd like to be able to use it more as a means of healing, but need guidance. Yeah, I did a second doctorate in natural medicine, holistic medicine in 1999 to the early 2000s at Capital University of Washington, D.C. The place is closed up now after about 10 years. So much pressure was put on it. They couldn't raise enough money, and on, all the stories go. But when it started out in the mid 90s, by the time I got involved in the late 90s, it was a very good training program. We had training in homeopathy and Bach remedies, flower essence, essential oils, energy medicine, all these wonderful teachings. And homeopathic was valuable. However, I have not found, since I learned all that, that I need it really. Not to say it doesn't work. It's just I seem to be able to get away with getting everything solved here decades after my training without having to do the homeopathy. But I'm not against it, and I did see improvements in my training, and certainly with arnica that was helpful with the trauma. So I would say Dr. Johnson, our naturopathic, Dr. Kaur, our naturopathic doctor, they have more background and referrals for homeopathic. So they'll give you concentrations to go find at the stores. And they have these big supplies where you have all these various herbal and tinctures and strengths that they can refer to. But so, yes, we do in a limited way. Vivian asked me, is there any benefit to taking collagen supplement? And if so, what? And my suggestion is that I would eat meat, and I would eat the collagen that's in your meat, and I would eat fish and chicken and turkey. These things are rich in collagen, and if they're in your daily diet, it will supply and should supply all your needs. If you get all these junk foods and toxins, that will be important as well. Now, to get a quality collagen supplement, remember there are different and many different kinds of collagen, and the dimensions of the Dalton lengths of these collagen molecules are variable, and they're big. And so it's hard to get them absorbed. Even if you take them, you might be taking some product and not get a benefit from them. So I have a somewhat sour attitude towards supplementation with collagen, unless there's some serious issue and the person just refuses to eat meat or something, then maybe that would be a case for it. Let's see. We had some new questions here come up. Okay, Jenna said, my friend has had great success with her 77-year-old mom that has Parkinson's with the LifeWave phototherapy patches. She is now 80% symptom-free. Such a blessing. Yeah, LifeWave, there are these little round patches, and they have crystals in them that when you put them on your skin, and usually you'll put them on the back of your neck or between your shoulder blades or the small of your back, these various areas, your body electrochemistry reacts with the electrochemical frequency of the crystal, and a synergy develops. And that synergy is talking to communicate with the energy flows that are occurring through your nerve conductions throughout your body. That you have energy flowing all the time. How do you know it? Just do an EKG where you put up sensors for the electrochemical flow dynamic of the tissue on your heart. The electrochemical flow is called an electrocardiogram. And so, yeah, we're energy beings. We're biochemical energy beings. So these energy LifeWave pads are useful, and they're growing in popularity and starting to get some clinical studies. All right, next, Libby. Hi, Libby. Hello, dear Dr. Rita. Which indicators on a thyroid panel do you consider more important? Free T3? Yes. Free T4? No. TSH? Yes. And I usually do TSH mostly because if I don't do it, the patient comes back and says their loved one or their other doctor wanted to get it done. So I'm tired of reordering or attaching it to it. So I usually order it because if you're on thyroid replacement therapy, the need for the signal of the thyroid stimulating hormone to talk to the thyroid gland to make the hormone, you don't need that signal anymore because you're bypassing it by taking the thyroid hormone. So why do I need the signal anymore? If I give a healthy dose of natural thyroid and I do the blood levels to measure the hormone level, then the signal in the brain will go down. And historically, doctors don't like it to be any less than 0.4. But I symptomatically treat my individual patients on a one-on-one basis. And if they are still tired or constipated or losing hair or dry skin or foggy thinking, I am going to increase their thyroid to safe parameters, checking other lab and physical exam things so that they feel good and they can have a more robust immune metabolic body. I don't go by a rate limiting number. All these years, decades, I've used it where the TSH is 0.00. And their free T3 is fine, and their heart rate and their energy, all the other things are just doing fine. So I don't like the TSH necessarily. Also, what is your medication of choice to treat hypothyroidism? Well, that too depends on the patient, but I don't like Triacint or Synthroid or levothyroxine, largely because they are primarily T4. T4 is a precursor, and your body has to turn it into the real thyroid hormone. So if you're not good at converting T4 into T3, you're pushing up the dose of the levothyroxine, Synthroid, Triacint higher and higher until it finally pushes out enough T3. And very often, then they'll give you a lyothreonine, which is T3, and you wind up getting 2 doses more money. When I can give a whole glandular single item that usually does it at lower doses and is, I think, safer. Let's see, Jenna says, my husband gets foggy, woozy sometimes, and our primary care doctor thinks it could be caused from the off-brand Prilosec he takes daily. He had his gallbladder out 10 years ago. What can he take instead? Um, I would need to know the age, other medical conditions, but very often blood sugars and triglyceride elevations are making people foggy thinking, and it's not necessarily the Prilosec, although that can be a side effect. I would say don't eat late, lower the carbs, use a digestive enzyme when you eat food, 1 or 2 with every meal. Take a walk after dinner, especially. Make sure you don't eat after 6 o'clock so your stomach can empty out. And then if you're having any sense of heartburn, Glutashield would be a very valuable item. Take a scoop of that in water and drink it before bedtime. And you could do that multiple times a day for any heartburn. The other thing is our phospholipid powder. Phospholipid powders help line the lining of the stomach. And the other thing would be L-carnosine, that's zinc carnosine. That's a natural antacid. So there's many other safe things you can try. Let's see what else. Is it okay to support my thyroid by taking 1 GTA II Forte capsule a day? My most recent TSH was 1.8. I think that's fine. Yeah, because the TSH is still in a reasonable range. So GTA II Forte, I think, is a somewhat glandular thyroid over-the-counter product. I'm not sure what that is for sure, but that's what I believe it is. But it sounds fine, Jenna. But of course, I don't know what GTA is, so I'd have to look it up. But I think it is a glandular thyroid kind of product. GT, that's what it means. Let's see what else you have. What do you think about eating? Cynthia says, what do you think about eating canned tuna that is wild caught and tested for mercury to a limit of 0.1 part per million? We are thankful to God for you and for TLC, Dr. Ellithorpe. Thank you, Cynthia. I hope you have a blessed holiday with your family. Thank you, and the same to all of you. I covet your prayers and intercession for our work here, for our doctors to do the right thing, to do their studying, and to stay up on things, and to be protected from intrusive, rules and regulations from above. All right, Andrea says, I didn't answer the question. The question is, what do I think of it? I think it's fine, especially because we are being exposed to mercury in so many ways. For instance, China puts up maybe 2 coal, 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 power plants every week or 2. And they're going up and up and up, and the heck with this climate change concern. And they're puffing out all this smoke with no EPA controls because it's cheap, and they don't care about their people getting toxically damaged by it. And the mercury is released. So it's in the atmosphere, it's landing on the ground, it's getting in the fish. And I would say that's why I thank the Lord for providing us with chelation therapy. You could do that once a month or 10 times a year, or any IV chelation you can do. You're going to reduce your burden of lead, arsenic, aluminum, cadmium, mercury, arsenic, and all these things. So yeah, I think it's fine if you say compared to an organic labeled Dorito chips. Yeah, go for the wild-caught tuna any day to get away from that processed food crap that makes you think it's natural and it's not. And then do a chelation on and off. Okay. Andrea, I have been reading your transcripts for a couple of months and know that you talk about how important it is to eat protein, primarily meats and seafood. What do you think about something called mTOR? mTOR is mammalian target of rapamycin, and how eating too much protein makes mTOR too high, which can be detrimental to humans by promoting aging. You're technically correct, but it's practically a useless argument. Leucine is a branched chain amino acid that is one of the essential, I think there's 3 branched chain amino acids, and is very valuable in promoting muscle growth, especially in the elderly eating foods that are rich in leucine. And you can look up a list on that. I don't recall offhand. Meat is a good source, but not one of the highest sources necessarily. And they're helping these elderly patients put back on muscle with exercise programs. And the studies that I've seen on that have proven, even in the elderly, that up to 2.3 grams of protein per, was it pounds or kilograms? I don't remember. But if you cross-reference on the internet leucine and sarcopenia of the elderly, I'm sure you'll see the NIH studies on this regarding restoring muscle mass and building it up. Most people eat well under 0.8 milligrams per gram of grams. Excuse me. After being up since 3:30 this morning, I'm trying to still use my brain in my 70s. Protein 0.8 grams per kilogram of a human body. So even the American who can afford to buy meat, fish, chicken, turkey, beef, eggs, and cheeses, they don't even get to 0.8. If you're a carnivore, you are probably getting closer to 1.45, and that's even not enough to really be of concern. So the answer is yes, mTOR is stimulated by excessive protein. Leucine is probably the one item, but your steak is not made of totally leucine. It's got all the other 22, 23 amino acids in it, plus other things. So I think you're getting worried, straining at a gnat and letting a camel pass through the eye of a needle. So we need to research this. We need to think about it. But we have so much need for protein and not for carbs and fruit sugars. And the healthy fats we need. Janet says, I am an out-of-state listener and love your podcast. Is there any way to order your products through your website? I was told only patients can buy them, but if not, can you recommend another company you like? I'm interested in the phospholipid powder, systemic enzymes, the SBI Protect. Thank you very much. If you call 714-544-1521, you can get in the vitamin department, talk to Kelly or Alex or John, my husband, and ask those questions because you should be able to get them. Now, we carry some products, like from Orthomolecular, that are exclusively only for doctors. However, I have private labeled some of these things with their permission so that other patients can buy them. So please call 714-544-1521, and then you can try them out. And thank you for asking. Let's see. Janae says, hello, Dr. Ellithorpe. I am on progesterone for increased PMS anxiety. Though progesterone has helped me tremendously, can being on it long-term be harmful? Absolutely not, Jenna. I've been using progesterone since, 37. I'm 70. So how many years is that? 33. Yeah, no, there's no problem with progesterone. Simone says, "Hi, Dr. Rita. I recently had a CAT scan with contrast about 8 years ago. I had an MRI with contrast. How dangerous is gadolinium? It is neurotoxic. Like all heavy metals are neurotoxic and other things. From what I read on the internet, many people are dealing with gadolinium toxicity. True. And the good news is EDT chelation pulls it right out. I'm doing that. I usually tell all my cancer patients after a scan to come in later that day or the next day and get a chelation for sure to pull that out. And how many times should I do chelation? Thank you for taking the time to answer. Well, we don't get money from the NIH that the gang of Fauci et al. Sit on the fat money for research for their personal profiteering and royalties. But if we could get that money, I could give you the answer. All I can tell you is my clinical experience is chelation removes it clearly. Number two, how often do you need it? Well, I would say certainly after every exposure to a dye for CT scan, you should get it. But for the buildup that you have, I would say at least 10 chelations is probably reasonable. And we can do a challenge pre and post to look at the reductions on it, and then you'll see the improvement. And then Lisa, hello, Dr. E. In the event of a nuclear radiation emergency, I have heard that taking potassium iodide before or shortly after exposure to radioactive iodine can be helpful to protect the thyroid. Can you give your opinion on this, please? And where might we get tablets if you agree? Praise God, he holds us in the palm of his hands. That's indeed true. Yes, it's absolutely established that iodine supplementation is protective against the radioactive exposure that you would get from radiation in any form. And so a 12.5 milligram tablet taken one a day is what I do. When I was in the military, I was trained in radiological, biological, chemical, decontamination and treatment as a medical doctor and flight surgeon. And iodine was given to all of us, and we had these potassium iodine tablets. The 12.5 milligram, just call the office here, 714-544-1521, 714-544-1521, and you will get ask for the vitamin shop, and they'll send you the iodoral or the ithroid. They are both iodine that we use here, and you can take one a day for sure. And I would certainly encourage you in that. All right, it's after 7, and so if this is a benefit to you and help to you, please like and subscribe. Please share with your family and friends, and we are just very thankful for God, number one. Two, for our families and all the blessings that we have. Again, in Proverbs, it says, "Don't make me so wealthy that I ignore you, God." I'm paraphrasing. And don't make me so rich that I, don't need you. But don't make me so poor that I blaspheme your name in anger. So I thank God that he keeps me on the nice, even keel right there with the clinic. But do pray for us. Do pray that our doctors and we learn on our grand rounds we do monthly. We stop everything. We don't make money. Our focus so that we can teach one another, review articles, difficult patient cases, and discuss them. So please pray for us and take good care of yourself. Eat well and help other people. Always. It's better to give than to receive, the Lord says. All right. Good night and bye-bye.